Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Beyond BMR. Of course, I am your host, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. We have a great show lined up tonight. Jody Cook, North American Dogman Project, will be joining us as soon as he gets on, of course. So, thanks to each and every single one of you for coming in. I appreciate the time you spend with myself and the lovely KRISTA from the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast. Please subscribe to the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast on YouTube. Subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube, Texas Front Porch on YouTube, Monica Rollins, Our Paranormal World, Donnie Cho Says Stuff, and Paranormal Paul. Again, great show. We're going to talk a little Dogman tonight. How's that sound to everybody? Um, as I always do, I don't tell you guys our schedules. You know that we're on every day, pretty much. Hit the alert bell, turn on the alert bell, hit the like button, share us out, help promote us. I do appreciate that. And I got to tell you, as always, I got to thank each and every single one of you for buying my books. That's right. It's Christmas time is coming. Bigfoot Michigan Rob presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1 and Book 2. I put out Book 1 a little over a year ago. Book 2 came out end of summer. For those that bought it, thank you. Please leave a review. For those that bought it, all you need to do is type Bigfoot to Michigan Rob in your Amazon browser. Please leave a review. You can find us on podcast formats on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever podcasts are found. So please go check those out. That's very much appreciated. And everybody hit the like button. Do what you do. It's all analytics, and we appreciate the analytics. We do appreciate the analytics. So thank you to one and all for coming on in. I do appreciate that. With that being said, I'm going to pull up KRISTA.
Hey,
Hey, what's happening, KRISTA?
happy Tuesday.
It's always a happy Tuesday.
One day closer to the weekend, right?
Well, yeah, we still have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
You're not supposed to say that. It's one day closer to the
It's one
weekend.
day closer. Well, every day is one day closer to the weekend, and every day is one day closer to Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And then after that, one day closer to Christmas. I'm
Yep.
not getting into that just yet. I'm not talking any Thanksgiving. I'm not talking any Christmas because we're all getting inundated with that, with advertising on our phones, at the
Oh, yeah.
malls, on TV. I'll be Christmased out by before Thanksgiving if the rate is going. So I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone, KRISTA. And you know me, when I have a pet peeve and I have a hair up my ass, I tend to go on. I'm not doing that. I'm refraining. I'm refraining, KRISTA.
There you go. Well, you know what I did? So we put up our Christmas tree and stuff yesterday, finished it today, got all the mess cleaned up, and then put lights up on the house. However, it needs one more strand, like where the fork is, the pitch. So we're not quite done, but almost.
I will tell you this. Yeah, that's awesome though, because I was in the spirit the other day, and I have all my lights up in my house. I don't put them outside my house anymore because several years ago, I was having a Christmas party, and my dad, who's long passed for about 8 years, had a Corvette, beautiful Corvette, and we're having this party. So the party was in the basement of the house. There's like 15, 20 of us having a great time. So somebody came in the house and said, Rob, I hate to tell you this, but someone wrapped your Christmas lights from outside of the house all along the Corvette.
Oh, no.
I went outside and all my Christmas lights were on the Corvette. Now, everybody listening, not my Corvette, my dad's that he owned, he passed on, and I'm certainly not going to sell it. I'm just keeping it. Yeah, Yeah.
What year Corvette is it?
It's well, let me tell you, it's a vintage 1976.
I had a 76 last year, the Stingrays.
Yeah, the last year, red with the chrome. Well, my dad got different wheels put on it, chrome wheels.
Mm-hmm.
It's sweet. I love it.
Yeah.
There's like 27,000 miles on it, Krista.
Wow.
I hate to sell it because I could probably get a pretty penny
Keep it.
for it.
Keep it.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna keep it. Well, it's my dad's. I
Yeah.
even he's been gone 8 years. I feel it's not my place to sell it without his approval. Yeah, but I
Right.
can't get his approval today because, well, he's
Mm-hmm.
no longer with.
So do you
And
drive it?
I don't have the. I haven't had. I only have insurance on it for fire and theft, so I could probably drive it. I start it up. I take it around the block. I rotate the tires.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't do it. I take it to a shop.
Mm-hmm.
His friend, knows the car inside and out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's covered up, it's stored away, and as much as I'd like to drive it in the summertime, I don't want to spend, how much we pay for insurance. My
Yeah.
insurance payment is higher than my car payment, for God's sakes.
Yeah, I know it's stupid, isn't
I
it?
don't even want to look at a vet payment for insurance. It's probably
Yeah.
triple.
I don't remember. It's been a long time. It was 20 years ago when I had a 76 Stingray, and then I had an 82 first, and then I
Okay.
had a 76. I like
Yeah,
the
well,
old muscle cars.
yeah, I do. I love the old muscle cars.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the Chevelle.
Mm-hmm.
There's my dad was a muscle car fanatic. He did a lot of model cars, right?
Oh,
And he would, carefully build and
yeah.
assemble. So my dad was a car man. My dad was if anybody that can remember, he was one of the he's a doo-wop guy. He was one of those leather coat guys back in the 50s, like Arthur Fonzarelli, if you will, for those
Yeah.
everyone knows Fonzie, right?
Yeah.
He was one of those guys. He would race his car, not the Corvette, but he would race cars for their title down Telegraph Road.
Wow.
And the loser would have to hand over their title.
Wow. Thank you, Wizard Moon. Welcome.
Thank you, Wizard Moon. And yeah, so I
You know,
respect that.
Danny just said, and I've never heard of this, Walmart has cheap car insurance. I had no
Walmart.
idea Walmart sells car insurance.
Well, they sell everything. Not a surprise. I'll look into that. Nothing I'm going to go into now, but I'll look into that. Thank you, Danny. But yeah, so that was kind of
Cool.
the issue. But
Yeah.
regardless, I see our friend Jody, North American
Mm-hmm.
Dogman Project, is graced us for like the 5th time.
Yeah.
That being said, oh, by the way, really quickly, if you are new here, please subscribe. As I said, the super chats open. Great way to help support what we do. You can become a BMR pirate or join. You get a picture of me and by your name in the chat room, with my bandana. Become a member. It's pretty cheap. Thank you for that. So we got all the business taken care of.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm not going to let Jody sit behind his computer anymore. I'm going to bring up Jody Cook.
Hey,
Hey,
Jody.
how you doing?
Hey,
Good. How are you?
Hey, Jody.
Doing good.
I'm always a worry wart, Jody. And I was like, "Where's Jody at? It's showtime." But you always show up when you do. This is my thing. I'm like, I always get nervous. And she's like, "He'll be here." I said, "I know he will." It's like your 5th time on the show, Jody. And first of all, thank you so much for gracing the show, man.
Oh, you're welcome. I knew you normally don't bring me on right away, so
Yeah,
I
I
was
know.
just getting things to
Yeah.
put them together. So
I know, and I tell people Jody's coming on, and I know you're coming on. It's
He
just
never stood us up.
yeah,
You never stood me up, and I know you never will. I do that with even KRISTA. Where you at? Where you at? So it's not a personal thing. It's like I don't know what it is with me. I just it's my thing, I guess.
It's all right. We'll forgive you, Rob.
Yeah, I know. We all forgive me. Thanks for coming on, Jody. Like I said, you've been on like 4 or 5 times, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about
Been on blondes too.
you've been on the blondes, and I
Yeah.
consider you and I never throw out the word expert, but when we talk about the Dogman, right? I
Mhm.
think you're a go-to guy. I
Mhm.
throughout the years, I think that you're spot on with a lot of things, and you're not only a researcher, but you explore these things. You talk to other people. You have had many avenues in which you've traveled when it comes to Dogman. And I'm not going to do the dog and pony show. Hey, what's Dogman? You've been through that. And I try to make the show a little more spicy. And I like to talk about a little bit different things because for me, man, more and more I talk about Dogman, and my audience loves Dogman, and I still don't know what the hell it is. So you can certainly give yourself a brief introduction, but my first question after that would be, should we be scared of Dogman out in the forest, man?
I would say yes. I mean, it's definitely a apex predator. You
Mhm.
know, no one really knows what it is. Okay, we know it's some type of a canine uh, creature. I mean, even Linda Goffrey, even couldn't even tell you what she thought it was. I talked to her about this often, and one of the conclusions we came up with, it's definitely some type of canine species that was able to evolve into something where it's able to walk on both legs. Doesn't mean it has any type of human DNA or anything like that in it, but it there was something that made this evolve to what it is. Now, a theory, okay,
Yeah.
and this is one theory that we have that we came up with just through reports and talking with people in the military and so forth, that the possibility of a dog man is we've had several reports, like you said, from the military where there was some type of extraterrestrial canine species.
Okay.
Okay. And the possibility that if they came to Earth, they could have mated with wolves, and that's where you come up with Dogman. It's a possibility. I'm not saying that's what it is, but if you go out and look through history, there's dog-headed men, going all the way back to biblical time. So we know there was a species
Mhm.
of human that had dog heads. Even Saint Christopher was one. A lot of the original artwork, he had a dog head, and they
Mhm.
changed it over to where it's a human head. But we don't know. I mean, that's the thing. We just don't know. Now, we have had hair samples done, okay, of what we believe are dogman hair that came back that said, okay, it's an unknown species of canine, but it had trace of wolves, and it had trace of domestic dog, but there was also a trait of an unknown canine species.
Wow.
And one of the facilities that did our hair, I got really upset about this because they confirmed this is what it was. Okay, on one set of the hair, and when we sent the hair in a brown paper bag, so it wasn't in type of any plastic bag or anything like this. And we sent it to them. They did the testing, talked on the phone. They told us what the results was. They said they were going to go ahead and give us the paperwork on this one particular set of hair that came out of Kentucky. And a couple weeks go by, and it's just like, are we going to get the report? And they're like, no, we have to drop this. And they sent
Wow.
the hair back in a sandwich baggie that still had crumbs from a sandwich that was in there. So they basically contaminated the hair
Well,
that was returned back to us.
on purpose, it sounds like.
Yeah, on purpose. And it's,
Mhm.
so they found something in that DNA because
Yep.
they already confirmed us to it, but they wouldn't give us to it on paper. So I don't know the reasoning why, but they dropped it, and that was it. And then we did a show, maybe 2-3 years ago. I did this television show on Dogman in Kentucky, and we even had hair samples from that show, and it went to a lab, and they came back saying, yeah, it's of an unknown species of, canine, from one of the investigations we did for the show. But the show left that part out, which was, crazy. It's just like, you got the report. Here's the report, but you're not putting it on the show. And I asked them, and they said, we were told not to by the network because it proves that this animal exists. Okay. And I said, okay, well, isn't that the whole point of the show? We're out there in the woods looking for Dogman. Okay. And it didn't make any sense. So this whole show, they kind of hid everything, because earlier that day, I got there and we were supposed to meet at 12 noon, and they didn't get there till probably 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening. So I'm at this park out in the woods waiting all this time. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and go for a walk. And I took my camera with me, and there was one point I heard this growl. I mean, it felt like it was right behind me. It just literally echoed. And this branch, probably 12 feet in diameter, long wise, comes flying right at me, lands right in front of me. So I turn off, look over to my right. Okay, and I saw this large hairy thing just like literally drop to the ground. So I took a series of pictures of this thing. But what was so odd about it, it kind of shape-shifted a little bit, because it went from a canine in the pictures to what possibly looks like a Bigfoot. Okay, because there's one particular picture where I got a side view of the face and the snout, and then there's a branch there, and he's looking at the branch, but he's got his hand over his mouth like this, and you see the eyes, you see the whole face. I mean, and so I gave them those pictures. I said, this is what happened to me today. Here are the pictures. They wouldn't even put it in there, because their whole idea was, the networks is like, this is too real. People are not going to be able to handle this. And my whole thing is, well, why even bother doing the show, a TV show about the subject, if you're not wanting to put any type of evidence in the show? So I don't know if there's a big conspiracy going on between networks when it comes to evidence and so forth. It's hard to say. But when we did, a few years prior to that, we contracted A&E, okay, to do a show on Dogman. And A&E came out. We did like 4 episodes we filmed. Okay, we had an animal that went on thermal imaging that was on all 4s, stood up and walked on 2 legs. Okay. We had vocalizations, we had growls, we had howls, we had a whole bunch of evidence of Dogman. And this is here in Ohio. This is in Germantown, Ohio. Okay. And like you said, we filmed 4 episodes up there, and all of a sudden they dropped it. They paid us out on our contract. They literally dropped it. And it's like, why would you do this?
I believe there's some higher up there.
Well, no, this is what happened. Was one of the producers, staff member, husband worked for the Department of Forestry, the what do they call that? The Department of Agriculture. She told her husband, showed her husband what we found. He apparently went back and showed the U.S. Forestry Service. They came back and said, you can't do this. You can't put this on. And I mean, this is what we heard, like a couple of weeks after this has happened. That's why the show went, because the U.S. Forestry Service says you cannot air this. I mean, this is physical evidence. We had hair samples, especially when you had a thermal image of an animal that is walking on all fours, stops, gets up and goes on two legs and walks on. And so they kept all that evidence, and we didn't get our hands on any of it.
Wow.
So, there's proof of it out there, but somebody knows what it is. I didn't mean to ramble on.
No, you're fine.
I was just going to say, I find that interesting,
it's very interesting.
Because, like you said, it gets out and, causes panics and, parks lose revenue and you know what I mean? It's just,
Well, see, the thing, did you have a question?
No, go on.
I mean, it's like you take LBL, for example.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much controversy going on with LBL, and LBL doesn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they don't like people coming down there looking for what they're looking for. And I was talking with one of the rangers down there, and he was saying, "Man, this is like it's a pain. You people coming down here." And I said, "You want it to stop? Do you want it to stop?"
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Monetize it. Okay, have a festival, sell little furry beasts of land between the lakes and the stores up there. Monetize it, and people will stop. They'll come thinking it's something new. It will happen, maybe for a year or two, and then it's going to die off. Just like what Salt Fork State Park did in Ohio with the Bigfoot conference."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Had so many people coming up, stuff's going down. I mean, the people had their fair share of it.
Sure.
So.
Wow.
I say, if you guys are tired of monetize it, make some money off of it, and people will stop doing it.
You had a great point. I'm not going to talk about it right now. It's too early in the show. But as far as the government and as far as state park revenue, I will tell you this. Since I've been doing this about 3 years, and we talk, mainly Bigfoot, Dogman, and paranormal stuff. And I must tell you, Jody, I've had many people contact me. In fact, not to blow smoke up I'm not talking about me at all. I did in my book, I talked about in Indiana State Park, how they kind of paid hush money to a couple. And I must tell you, the emails that I've gotten on that were positive about, yes, that goes on, this, that, and the other. Thank you, Rob, for talking about this on your show and in the book.
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe wholeheartedly, Jody, that if people are being silenced, whether it's through, an extortion or a payoff, I get that. But one thing I do want to ask of you, because we always talk about Dogman and on a negative side, that's the way it seems. And I have to say something. I got a good friend of mine. Thank you, Brian. Gary Spike Sr. He's been around many years, a researcher. I love the guy. He's had Dogman accounts that have all been good and friendly. And I believe him as much as I believe my own father. I do. Is that far in between from your experiences compared to my friend Gary?
No, it's not, because we've had a lot of reports that came in just lately of these things being very calm with people. And I mean, if it's a canine, okay, one thing about dogs, is that they can sense fear in you. They can sense if you're a good person. They can sense if you're a bad person.
Yeah.
And that's true. And if they don't fear you, if they know that you're a good person or something, they're not going to sit there and be aggressive towards you. Now, they may do it for intimidation purposes, but a lot of times, they know if someone is sick or if someone is healthy, because if someone's sick, they can also see, hey, that's prey.
Right.
But there again, do I really want to waste my time dealing with a sick prey?
Right.
Okay. So yeah, I believe that. At first, when I was first getting into this, nah, man, I just thought these things were just very, very aggressive animals that, that had no sense of reasoning or passion or wanting to be your friend.
Right.
But as time goes on, then you start getting stories like this. This is one story. This guy contacted us about a sighting, and I talked to him on the phone, and he's like, I'm gonna tell you something. I drink. I love to drink.
Right.
Okay. I hunt, but I do not drink when I hunt. Okay. He goes, I'm out hunting one day. Okay. I see a buck, and I have a black powder rifle. It's black powder season. I'm getting ready to take this buck out. I hear something move behind me. Get a scent. Okay. This thing stands next to me. He says it's a freaking werewolf, like you see in the movie.
Right.
Standing right there looking at me. And then he looks at the deer. He looks at me. He looks at the deer. And he put his hand on his shoulder and lift the other arm up towards the deer. And he goes, I think he wants me to shoot the deer. And he goes, I shot the deer. He went and grabbed the damn thing and went off.
Wow.
And he goes, I'm serious as a heart attack. This happened. I had no fear of this thing, because if he wanted to get me, he wouldn't have came up. But it's like he wanted me to kill the deer for him so he wouldn't have to chase it or something, But we get kind of stories like that, which are kind of funny. But when you got somebody, an old fart, up there just telling the story, you have to take it. I mean, but it's amusing. But we live in a strange world where strange things happen.
Right.
So what is the possibility of that, actually being true? I mean, he didn't even do his daughter had to fill out for him because he didn't know how to do anything on the computer. He was just trying to look and figure out what he saw when he saw our website.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Right. I have a question for you. So, I know, you guys are all, about data, and I know you guys have been researching this Dogman for a long time. What is your belief as to like how many are out there? Like, are they super, super common? Like, as common as like Bigfoot is, or more so, or what in your opinion, what would you say?
What the data, our group, we do go out and do research and so forth, but our biggest thing is we collect evidence and data. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. And a lot of groups don't do that. They're just going out looking for evidence and pictures so they can go post them. We're looking at actually putting some type of data when it comes to, sightings during winter, summer, spring, fall, the time of day, the months of the year, things like that. Mm-hmm. So what we're finding out is I don't think there's an extremely large number. I would say at the absolute minimum 5,000.
Wow.
If that. Okay. Wow. Yeah.
So when you say 5,000 in North America?
No, I'm talking 5,000 across the world.
Worldwide.
Yeah, because of the amount of reports that we get, different parts of the area throughout the year, what we're getting from Europe, what we're getting from Australia. And I mean, believe it or not, we're getting reports out of Pakistan and yeah, some really interesting reports from people who are in the military
Mm-hmm.
that are saying things are along the border with China and they're killing the Chinese as well as they're killing them, and it's creating a problem, because China thinks it's us doing it. We think it's Chinese doing it until we actually found out, what it was.
Okay.
So that's why I just estimate that's, and
Sure.
that's pushing it. I mean, that's really pushing it. Now, when it comes to Bigfoot, obviously, I think there's probably, 20, 30,000 of them across the world.
Somebody suggested to me that there's maybe 1 million. Literally, I'm not joking. Bigfoot.
Oh yeah, I would not put it past. I would not doubt it. I would not doubt it.
And we always talk about there's so much uncharted territory in our forests alone in North America that man has not stepped in. And certainly, why would Bigfoot not roam there? Why would not Dogman roam there? Right. So I think that, and again, it's the question. I love Chris's question. It's been posed to me 1,000 times. There's no finite number, right, Jody? I mean, you
No.
say 5,000 and you're being conservative, but you, as you stated, you really don't know, right?
You don't know. I mean, like I said, we go through, when you look at the history of Dogman sightings, okay, going back as far as, certain newspaper articles, we've got some going back to the 1800s, okay? And then you look at the history of the amount of sightings through, say, the last 100 years, okay, just in the United States. But when you go and look at Europe itself, especially like Germany and Transylvania area and so forth, I mean, you got stuff going back thousands of years.
Right.
There. But if you take Bigfoot sightings and say the 1970s and 1980s, they're just as much then as they are today. I mean, they're the sightings are just as much matching up. When it comes to Dogman sightings, it's not. I mean, I was going through some of my reports when I did Bigfoot research back in the 80s, and I was going through some of my reports. I'm like, what I believed was Bigfoot, what people were seeing was Bigfoot, wasn't really Bigfoot. It was Dogman. Because some of these reports, Bigfoot had high pointed ears. Bigfoot had a snout. Bigfoot had legs like a dog.
Yeah.
Okay. The characteristics, this Bigfoot was tall and thin, which is more Dogman. But at the time, if you sit there and think about it in the 70s and 80s, no one knew what the heck a Dogman was.
Sure.
Only in particular areas like Ohio in 1972, Defiance, Ohio case, or the Michigan Dogman, or the Beast of Bray Road. In those areas, that stuff stayed. It never spread it out nationwide. So no one ever knew about that stuff.
Right.
So that's how you go by with some of these, how you have to figure out probably, I'm pushing it when I say 5,000.
I get that. Really briefly, for people in the chat room, we're not ignoring your questions. We're trying to catch them. We will probably do our best to get to them towards the end of the show. So again, you guys, don't be mad. We're not going to go right into the questions now. And again, we're kind of starring them, and we'll get to them. I appreciate you guys, not blowing you off whatsoever. Thank you for that. And Jody, one of the questions that, is in chat, we talk about this. Okay. Like I said, I've never seen a dog man. I've seen Bigfoot, obviously, you know about that. And I've been doing this show for 3+ years now. And we always talk about Dogman with different folks, different experiencers, researchers, people involved. And it always comes to the question that I still don't have the answer to. I'm not an advocate. I'm sorry to say, I don't know if you were part of this. The 8 variants of Dogman, to me, that should be updated a little bit. I think there's 4. And again, I'm not disparaging the 8 variants. I don't know, again, if you were a part of that. I think that Dogman I think there's a part of Dogman is, hey, it's a flesh and blood animal. A hot dog, oversized, looks like a German Shepherd that can walk. I believe that exists. and then we can get into government, we can get into creation by man.
Right.
But I got it. So that's another. There's 2 right there. So that's 3 out of 4. But let me ask you this, and I want your sincere thought on this, because I happen to believe this. Dogman and I think werewolves exist. I know it's folklore, but I think there's werewolf out there because I believe folklore has truth to it. Do you think that the werewolf does exist seriously, or do you think that it has nothing to do with Dogman?
The thing about werewolf, okay, is one organism going to another organism.
Okay.
Okay, and you have to sit there and think about this. The transformation itself would literally kill a human being. Okay,
I agree.
Now, is there a werewolf? Okay, type thing. There's a lot of evidence to back that up. You're talking like the Lon Chaney style werewolf,
pretty much, yeah. Or the American Wolf in London Beast.
Right. Here in Ohio, back in the 80s, in London, Ohio, there was a case where this was a werewolf. This particular individual turned into a werewolf. There, the people have seen it happen. They found the cabin where he lived in. There was physical evidence to kind of back it up, and so forth. Yes, there's a real good possibility, for that there's some type of transformation, of a human going into, like a werewolf. Me personally, I go back to where, it's one organism changing into another. But your body can change. Your body can do some really weird stuff. We know that through science. Okay? So I don't want to say no to the possibility, because we're getting reports of werewolf type creatures. Now in Shenango Valley in Pennsylvania, there's a story called the Wolf Boy. Okay. And it's where it's this little boy they saw that looks like a werewolf, not a dog man, but just a typical werewolf. There's newspaper articles about it. I've got some drawings of it from what people have seen this thing. At one time, this thing was wearing clothes.
Wow.
It kind of rolled out. It wasn't one of those people that have all the hair on their body. I can't think what they call them. Where they're all completely covered with hair. It was like that. But yeah, there's a possibility, and you have to look into it. You have to look into it, because how can I say, as a researcher, and try to collect evidence, if I'm going to look into the extraterrestrial part and the supernatural part and the flesh and blood of Dogman, it would be ignorant for me not to look at that part too.
Sure.
And again, KRISTA, did you have something? Because I had something to ask him right quick.
No, I was just agreeing with him what he said.
And I say this. I agree. Again, Jody, well, like I said earlier about the variance, I'm with you. And I think that I think if a human being transformed into a werewolf, here's what I think. It would destroy your physiology, your anatomy, and perhaps it could happen, but you're not going back to becoming a human, right? You will be a werewolf, and that's it. You're not coming back as a human being. And we all talk about shapeshifters, how things change to this animal, that animal, whether it's a cryptid or not. And then we've been talking about this. We brought this discussion up. We've been talking about this the last several months. Okay, a human being shapeshifts into a deer, an antelope, a dog, a wolf. Do you think would you ever think about this hypothesis, this theory? What if actually, when people claim to see that a human being running through the forest as a wolf comes out at the other end, there's a human being, all raggedy looking, hitchhiking. Do you think, and had given any thought into if maybe the werewolf, the dog man, and I think they both exist, What about them instead of the human being the shapeshifter? Do you think that the way we all are out searching for these cryptids, do you think it's possible that maybe it's the actual cryptid itself? Dogman aside, any cryptid, the
Mhm.
shapeshift into a human, and they're providing us something that we want to see, and they give us that to trick us?
Oh yeah, yeah. We even thought about that when it comes to the supernatural part, where somehow through telepathy,
Yeah.
Mhm.
where they can possibly alter your vision, alter your mind,
Right.
uh, to where making you believe what you're seeing is not what you're seeing, and so forth. Because we've had cases where that has happened, and where they would actually was talking to them, saying, "We're not going to harm you. Just walk away."
Mhm.
Type scenarios. It's a really good possibility
Yeah.
because how can I say this? We only use like a very small percentage of our mind, okay,
Yes.
and we can be very trying to think the right words for this without we can be altered
Obtuse.
into
Yeah.
believing what we want to believe. Okay.
Mhm.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to give you a little case that kind of goes off the cryptid when I
Sure.
about that. Now, in the 1970s, the CIA took out 3 patents for a type of communication, meaning if there's 100 people, okay, sitting in a room where
Mhm.
I, being the CIA, and I needed to talk to one person, I could talk to that one person and no one else could hear,
Right.
okay, except for that one person. Well, when these 3 patents came out, schizophrenic cases in the United States rose 300%. Okay,
Mhm.
300%. So when people said, you know, Aunt Cindy was talking to people, she was nuts. Aunt Cindy probably was part of the experiment.
Mhm.
And so it can be done. I mean, if the CIA can do that to a human being, why couldn't an animal or some type of cryptid that is extremely probably more intelligent couldn't do it?
Yeah.
You
Good
know,
question.
so anything's possible. I mean, we're not, we're easy to
Manip-
convince.
manipulate,
Okay,
convince,
and
Mhm.
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That we are.
You
Yeah.
know, and people want to believe what they want to believe. We talk often about I'm I want to go find Bigfoot. I want to find Dogman. I want to find a ghost. I want to find this, that, or the other. And we're so intent on this that I think a lot of times you just manifest things, Jody, and they appear when they're really not there because that's how intense
Mhm.
we are. And I think a lot of people do fall prey to that
Yep.
because they believe what their mind is tricking them
Well,
into. And it doesn't even have to be supernatural. It don't.
right. I mean, if you're going to go out looking for Bigfoot and you believe you're going to find him, you're going to find evidence. You're going to find Bigfoot. You're going to
Mhm.
because your mind is telling you everything you see
Right.
is there. It's the same thing like when you see all these pictures people are posting, of images of faces, that's
Mhm.
tree line or the bush or something like that. You know, I don't want to sound um, negative or anything, but shadow and light and Mother Nature can make things look like it's human or look like a face and stuff because your mind and your eyes are trained to pick up those images.
Yes.
Okay, now we one of our investigators went up to um, a cemetery the last person buried in that cemetery was right after the American Revolution. Okay. So you got to go up the steps to get there. So it's a beautiful cemetery. They went up there just to get some pictures of the cemetery in the fall and saw a Bigfoot digging into a grave. Okay. Took the picture. Beautiful picture. I mean, this is, you see the ear, you see the arm, the body, everything. But it was done with a digital camera. Now, when you look at the picture, okay, there you see a gray alien standing there, and you see a large human face with, the old style Victorian mustache and so forth, and the nose and things. But it's not there because it's the pixels, how the pixels in the picture is, and how your mind is seeing it, because two of us looked at it and said, "Wow, like there's an alien there, and there's the face of a guy there." And other people are looking at it because I don't see it. And after they look at it and oh yeah, they see it. But like I said, it's just how your eyes are picking up shadow and light,
Right.
okay? And the pixels and stuff that's in the the picture is, in some of these cases there's some things there, yeah, you can obviously see it, but yeah, it goes back to the thing, if you believe it's there, and that's what it is.
Right.
Yes, because the human mind, once you're set on something, and it doesn't have to be cryptids or the paranormal, once a human being has their mind set on something, there's no going back when you are adamant about your perception, right?
Yep.
It doesn't matter. I remember as a kid getting I don't know, a C in a grade, taking it home, showing my mom and dad. I'm showing my mom and dad that the actual F is a C, right? Because that's what I believed, even though I knew I was totally wrong, because that was my perception. That's what I felt my grade should have been, I should say, right? That's what it should have been, which is kind of the same thing with all of this. And I don't find it funny at all. And first of all, when Jody speaks on this, and I can probably speak for you, we do not make fun of people that think that every photo they have has something in it, because, again, as he's explained, when you're intent on something, you think you see it. And with the shadows and the pixelations, hey, it throws us all off.
It does, and like I said, I'm not being disrespectful for anyone.
Yeah, I know you're not.
I'm just saying there's a lot of people sit there and post pictures that you don't want to sit there and say it's just shadow and light, or it's just how the branches are, and so forth. You just don't want to do that. But when you look at it, you can kind of tell it's just how branches are set, it's how the leaves are. It just your body's trained to pick that up.
Yeah.
I mean, we get stuff all the time where people are sending a picture, and then they'll send a picture with a red circle around it, and they said, "Dude, it's right." It's like, I don't see anything. I mean, I just don't see anything in there, and they get upset. It's you see it, but I don't.
Right.
And I put the picture through different filters and programs, just trying to bring something out. And if that's not going to find it, it's not there. But you can't be judgmental towards someone, and treat them badly.
Yes.
Yeah. You just don't know. This past Friday night, Brandy and I were at a haunted location, and we heard something that was audible with our ears, and we were there for ghost, nothing to do with any cryptid or anything like that. However, we captured something. Our friend Terry captured it. We audibly heard it, but she was running an EVP recorder. And if you don't mind, Jody, after the show, I'm going to send that to you. And if you wouldn't mind, listen to it and give me your 2 cents, what you think it is.
Okay.
Because I think it's I'm not saying it's cryptid, but I'm not saying it's not, Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, we get audio. We get some neat audio stuff all the time. And you get some of them that it's communication, okay, but it's really odd.
Yeah.
It sounds like a foreign language. Every once in a while you'll hear a certain word, and I think what the Sierra sounds. I was reading something about it. It's like it had every single vowel except for O. I think it might have been was because I guess they can't how a I guess a primate can't produce that vowel, or something to that effect. I thought was really interesting, but they were just saying, that was like the only vowel that couldn't be picked up in there.
Wow.
And I have another question. Yeah, and this is all fantastic. Jody Cook, North American Dogman Project, joining us for about the 4th or 5th time. Thank you so much, Jody, for taking time out of your schedule. I want to thank everybody for coming on in. We have almost 100 people in the chat room. And before I forget, when this show ends, I got a text from a buddy, Tex. You guys know Tex from Texas Front Porch. After this show, he's going live with Monica Rollins and talking about what happened at the Dogman Ranch investigation this weekend. So, go check out Tex after this. And thank you, man.
Yeah, I like Monica. She's really good.
Our
really good
paranormal
researcher.
world. Yes, she is. She does a good job. Tex, you're on after me whenever we're done with this. So thank you, and thanks to everybody for coming on in. So we've talked about the flesh and blood aspect. You've shared some great insight. And let me ask you this: we all talk government, and I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, although I listen to them all and offer my 2 cents. I do believe that number one, the government's already has a Bigfoot in captivity, dead or alive. I don't know. I think the same with the dog, man. But what's your take on this? We hear about the super soldier. Do you think, in addition to what we've been talking about, that our government has created, and it doesn't have to be Dogman, Jody, but do you think they've created a natural phenomenon that's been released in our national parks?
There's a possibility. The thing of it is about the military, and I spent 20 years in the Army. One thing I can tell you, if they can weaponize it, they'll do it.
Okay.
I can see them taking cryptids, especially like a Dogman, and weaponizing it.
Okay.
Because it'd be very lethal on the battlefield. There's a real good possibility for that. I do believe that they have a Bigfoot in captivity. I remember the movie The Iceman Cometh, where they thawed that caveman out and they put him in that facility, and he never knew he was inside of. So I can see something like that with Bigfoot.
Yeah,
I could definitely see something with that. I don't think they can weaponize it, but the fact that a Bigfoot can change our whole thought on evolution.
Oh.
And I think that's probably one of the problems, why they want to keep that so quiet and pleasant. Making them known, it's going to cost a lot of people a lot of money. The forest industry and so forth.
Right.
I believe so. We talk about the forest industry, and I'm not going to tell the story. I just want to get your thoughts on this because I mentioned this a little earlier. I got this encounter. I talked to this guy on the phone via email, and this was 2 years ago. It was in Indiana State Park. It was where you could take your horses up to. And long story short, because a lot of my people, or the people that follow me, I should say, have heard this. I might even have told you about it briefly on some other show about there was an alleged dog man, this, that, and the other, that injured his horses, There were oversized wolf prints around their
Mhm.
RV. There's no wolves in this part of Indiana. I think it was called the Oak Park Recreation Area. Don't
Mhm.
quote me on that. It's written, it's documented somewhere in my notes, in the book. So long story short, an incident happened with the horses, howls, this and that in the distance. And for the entire day, at the beginning of the day, Jody, they were calling into the administrative office about, we think there's some unusual predator out here.
Mhm.
Can't put our finger on it, but there's weird footprints around our RV because they trailered up an RV. They trailered a trailer hitch for their horses, this, that, and the other. And they blew them off. They ignored them. And then frantically, 2 or 3 in the morning, they got a hold of the administrator. And all of a sudden, they showed up because they were frantic. They said, we don't know what's going on, wolves or something. So they came out, and the one horse had a rip in his hindquarters. It didn't hit an artery. It wasn't dying, but there's something attacked it. They seen something run out of the trailer from where the horses were, and they're going rambunctious. But to get to the gist of the story, the son said something like Dogman throughout the investigation. There was the sheriff, an administrator from the park, and some other weird person, a pencil neck and an accountant looking guy, right, in a suit. At night, Jody, come on.
Mhm.
Don't mention Dogman, and they pay. Don't say that word Dogman. We don't want no bad rap here. There's no such thing.
Mhm.
And we're going to pay for all the medical expenses of the horse. We're going to pay for your weekend here. We'll pay for your gas. They're going to pay for everything. This trip is free. This, that. We'll take care of it. Please don't go to the papers. Don't go to the news. Please don't say anything, right? And they're like, and the dad thought, well, F you. This is, what are you trying to cover up? He's thinking in his mind. He's not saying it. He says, fine, agrees to it. Stay for another week on us. He goes, no, we're going home. Terrible experience. Jody, not less than 48 hours, within 24 hours, they got paid a visit at their home. And there was another representative from the state park and another, again, pencil neck looking accountant guy
Mhm.
shows up with a sheriff authority, and they strong arm these people. And they were not friendly when they invited into my home, their home, and I'd have been turned off, kind of threatened them. Dad, if you mention this, I can't say what will happen. But they said, but hey, I know we're sounding threatening. And they gave them a cash payoff. The guy told me like 10 grand in cash to keep their mouths closed. I first of all was said, stick it up your ass, give me 100,000, or I'm going to the papers with what you just told me. Right.
Mhm.
I believe this guy. And when I posted this video and I put it in the book, I cannot tell you 20, 30,
Yeah.
50 people have contacted me, and I'm not making this up. My reputation's at stake, and told me that park's known for Dogman. It's been known. It's not the first time they heard of a payoff. And I'm like, I'll be honest with you. 3 years ago, Jody, I'd be like, yeah, you guys are full of crap. I'll be honest with you. The more I've been doing this, the more I believe that there's something they don't want us to know, to go
Right.
through that extent, threaten a family,
Mhm.
offer money. Don't say the word Dogman. Jody,
Right.
you believe that goes on, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, we've gotten reports out of that park too.
Okay.
Okay. Um, it does happen all the time. We where people show. We had an investigator that we told that here's a report, go out there and look into this, and he calls us back and says, when I got there was someone there that knew me by name, asking me what I'm doing there.
Wow, that's scary.
Come
That
on, right.
and that is scary. So I mean, this stuff. I mean, I did. I think I told you about this before, where I did a lecture, and two government guys showed up saying they were at the NSA, that were there. And I talked to them afterwards and stuff. They told me they were with the NSA and told me I had a nice lecture. I mean, stuff like that happens all the time. Indiana is kind of a weird place. There's a park also out there called Mound State Park. Okay. That's got a lot of Pudwedgie stuff going on up there. I mean, some wicked stuff. I mean, as far as this last summer, they have had stuff, and they contacted us about, I know this isn't what you deal with, but can you guys help? And we went out there, and I mean, we talked to a camper that was out there, and they said, yeah, these little bitty things set our tent on fire. I mean, it's crazy. And the Native Americans put like 10 different monuments all around that park to wear these Pudwedgies out, and it's not working. And the Native American, in that area, they're like, we're not even bothered with this anymore because these are just too evil and too strong, and we're not even dealing with it. So I tell everybody, if you go out to Mound State Park in Indiana, be careful because people are seeing a lot of weird stuff going on. Their stuff's getting stolen, tents getting set on fire. Little like spares in people's tires and stuff. I mean, some weird stuff, man.
And why? I gotta tell you, thank you for that, validation on that Indiana State Park, because again, in Indiana, I mean, I'm like, I gotta tell you, of all the things I've spoken on in 3 years, that's like a fever pitch for people. I can't tell you the people that have contacted me. So it's like, wow, and so I don't know, what's up with that place, but it's definitely something going on. There's something very strange going on. And yeah. And I mean, that's the thing though, Jody. It's like we talk about the subject matter, Dogman, Bigfoot, cryptids. Do you think that it's talked about so often that people think it's a mythological creature and they're put off by it? I mean, people like you and I, the people in the chat room, the people that follow us believe, but do you think that's pushed back and that's why it's probably never going to be resolved or made public outside of money, of course?
I would like it to be resolved, but see, here's the problem, with humans. Okay. We can't coexist with other species, let alone coexist with ourselves. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
We have a big problem with killing things we don't understand, let alone killing each other because we don't understand. Okay.
Right.
So that's part of the problem, I would see. Money, financials is like one of the biggest things. And I use this as an example. If hypothetically, okay, I don't believe in mermaids, but I'm just saying, let's say they exist. Okay. And if they're spawning, I guess, in an area where all the lobsters and crabs are gotten, and they cut that off because it's a protected species now. Okay. People are going to get angry. People are going to lose jobs. So what are they going to do? They're going to go out there and they're going to kill them off. Okay. They're saving their house and saving their family, is more important than that particular species. Right. And I can see them doing that. And to come with Bigfoot, I can't see people actually going out wanting to hurt Bigfoot.
Right.
But when it comes to Dogman, knowing that you have an apex predator that, is not going to show you mercy, and that is a killing machine, then that does become a threat. And then you're going to have people where, Bill's farm just got attacked by some large animal and killed a couple of the cows and stuff, and it attacked John, and he's barely making it. And then you're going to start getting groups of people going out and looking for this thing, and someone innocent's going to get hurt.
Yeah, I hear you there, and
that's the issue you're going to get. And I think that's part of why they don't want to do it, because people just can't handle things. I mean, look at the way people are handling this election.
Oh
Look at the
God,
way
yes, right.
people handled COVID.
Jimmy Kimmel's crying. I mean,
Yeah.
what are there? I'm not going to talk about politics, but yeah,
Right. I mean,
I don't care who you voted for. Grow
Yeah.
up.
But I mean, but you see how people are handling things.
Right.
Yes.
And if you tell them that, the thing that goes bump in the night that bites is out there, okay, then they're not going to be able to handle it. Honestly, I used to believe that if the president of the United States got on TV and said, look, aliens exist, they've been visiting us, we have downcraft, we have bodies, so far they haven't been a threat. If they do, we'll do what's necessary to protect the planet.
Yeah.
That's fine. You're going to get up the next morning, have breakfast with your kids, get them off to school. You got something to talk about at work, and you're still going to, take your kid to soccer and so forth, but your life's still going to go on.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I used to really believe that because everybody knew in their mind that aliens exist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But when COVID hit, you just saw how people just went bat crap crazy.
Hey,
Look how they're doing with the election and stuff. And no, people cannot keep it quiet because people cannot handle it.
Yeah.
well,
They
we're on
can't.
we're on the same page, because I was going to say, when you talk about humans can't handle humans, something like Dogman, Bigfoot, we couldn't handle the alleged toilet paper outage,
Mhm.
shortage.
True.
Everybody's spending $50,000 at
That
your
was
local
psychological.
Walmart to get shit paper, for God's sakes. Come
That
on.
that was psychological. I truly believe
Jeez.
that, they did that to see. I mean, why didn't people go after food? Why did they go after toilet paper?
Right.
Somebody was behind that
You
to get the reactions of people.
you're worried about that. What about a potential food shortage?
Right.
That was all blown into proportion. That was a big
Mhm.
marketing. That was a stunt. I think,
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
I'm speaking for myself. I think most of us agree to that. But,
Oh yeah, that was a
but
stunt.
and it is what it is, and boy, and I will ask you this too, because I do think, okay, again, talked to many people, hundreds of people, about when we talking Dogman, and I've never come across, I've always come across they want to scare you. There's something maybe nefarious or evil about it, and then like people like Gary Spike Sr. has never had a problem, and there's people like that, and I get it. I respect everybody's
Mhm.
encounter, right? I wasn't there. I'm not going to judge anybody. I don't do that. But I will tell you this: you think Dogman got a bad name because of the alleged murders at LBL?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, same thing with Bigfoot. I mean, look at all these shows about Bigfoot going and killing everybody and things. I mean, Harry and Henderson was the only show that was positive about
True
Bigfoot.
story.
So you're making it out that something that's not real. But when it comes to Dogman, it's pretty accurate. I think
Yeah.
it's a predator. I mean,
No,
the
that's
whole
correct.
purpose of this thing
Yeah.
is to kill and make little babies, and move on. I mean, that's the whole purpose of this
Right.
thing,
Yeah.
It's, I don't know.
I don't know either, and that's why I love doing this. I mean, it's a fantastic mystery, whatever you want to call it. I love it. It's why I do it with all the cryptids, the paranormal, ghosts, everything. Because if there wasn't for that, we wouldn't have these podcasts. Because this is something that I don't think will ever be solved. I don't think in my lifetime, and I'm talking even about UFOs and all that. I believe that aliens exist. I believe there's life after us. I believe there are otherworldly. I mean, I believe in all that. Maybe I'm naive, but I think that there's just too much out there that has been proven otherwise.
Mhm.
I do know that KRISTA has been starting some questions from some of our audience.
Mhm.
Jody, people like to ask you questions that we might not have got to. If KRISTA, if you got a couple you want to rifle through?
Yeah, we can do that.
First of all, KRISTA, you know I'm a talk hog. What do you got for Jody? You got anything? I'm sorry, I didn't do that last show.
I ask as I come up with it.
Okay, good.
You know,
I look out for you. See, you're, my right hand girl.
Okay, this is kind of a good question because we've all wondered this. You hear some crazy encounters. So Ron asked, "What if some people are just making stories up? How do we know who's telling the truth?"
You don't, and that's the thing we have to try and cipher out on some of the reports that we get. I mean, some obviously it's just bullcrap. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of people that are really good bullshit artists. Okay, that can tell a story and make you believe it, and then it comes back on you. And that's our biggest thing that we deal with is, we're never going to tell you, I believe you 100%. Okay. We're just there to take the report, do the investigation, and add it to our database. That's it. It's not for me to believe. It's up to the people who are reading the report to decide if it's legitimate or not. Now, like I said, you do get those that are just way out there, and we don't even bother putting those up because it's just so far-fetched. It's like the one with the hunter. We never put that up there because that was a story that was it was so amusing, but the possibility of it being true is it's greater than 50%, on my home.
Okay.
But it's just one of those things you just don't want to put out there. It's a good little story to tell.
And that's our thing too. We've talked, Rob and I have extensively about, we've heard some really, really off the wall encounters, but they're not my encounter. I wasn't there. So I've also have seen some really crazy things too, that people would think, oh man, that's weird, So who am I to say that didn't happen? So we kind of go into the thought, like, we'll listen to anybody, it's not our encounter, it's yours.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's the way we look at it. We're just there to take the report and do the investigation on it. And we leave it up to the people who are reading the stories to decide if what's, if they think it's real or not.
Yeah. And really briefly following with KRISTA, and people know this about me, my emails out there, I get many stories. And when I say stories, encounters, I just say story. People say, Rob, story's made up. Well, no, it's an encounter story. I'm not screwed to semantics. If somebody says something to me, I'm not going to judge you because I was judged, Jody, with my encounter where people thought I was full of bunk, but it doesn't matter because I'm not a believer in Bigfoot. I'm a knower because I've seen it with my own two eyes. I went through a crazy experience. So I will never disparage anybody with the story. Well, I think it's out there. Well, yeah, maybe. But guess what? This is out there. This is an out there phenomena.
Right. So. Yeah. All right. Next question. Brian asks, Jody, do you think there's a spiritual or demonic aspect to any of these encounters? The Warrens had a case in England that involved possession while not having a full physical change. There was some.
I believe there's a demonic to it as far as spiritual. I want to say yes because we've had we've had 3 reports. I think I might have mentioned this last time from 2 different cemeteries where people have seen a dog-headed person with a cloak walking around the cemetery. And when it comes to demonic, now my dad was an Episcopalian minister. Okay. And he said, these things they're demons. He thinks like Bigfoot and all this stuff because, it's stuff in the Bible, and he always believed that they were some type of demonic demons. And we humans are the ones that they're feeding off of because we're allowing them to exist.
Wow.
So it's a really good possibility.
And not to change what you're talking about, do you think that maybe I don't want to get all religious, talk about what's going on. Sorry you guys. Very interesting. Do you think some of these dogmen present themselves as a disciple of Satan? Doing his work like the devil dog, demon dog? I know it's totally different than what we talked
it's
about.
like the ones that were seen in the cemetery.
Okay.
Okay. To me, that was like the hellhounds. Okay. Because hellhounds' job was to protect the souls in the cemeteries from the demons.
Mhm.
So, with this case, I truly believe it now because, like you said, we got 3 really good reports of these things in cemeteries wearing, cloaks.
Mhm.
So it's a good possibility. There's their spiritual part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's definitely a huge demonic part because they, how can I say, Dogman has a strong supernatural part about it, and reports and sightings, what people are happening. Not so much flesh and blood, but there's a whole lot of supernatural stuff that's taking place, with this.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I do believe that.
Mhm.
My buddy Duke, World Bigfoot Central, subscribe on YouTube. Agents of Anubis.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you answered part of this question already, but the second part I've never heard of. I don't know if you had. Sinfully Wicked says, is it true that most dogman sightings are near mounds and cemeteries, which you answered, and also heard that they only show up in years ending in 7?
Well, first of all, I would say thank you for thanking my service. I appreciate that. Yeah, there's a big reports of them around mounds.
Mm-hmm.
Several, just like in Wisconsin, even in Michigan, here in Ohio, we have an area called Fort Ancient, and it's a Native American museum that has actually mounds, and they've actually had a lot of sightings of Dogman just gathering around the mounds. They're not doing anything. They're not digging them. It's just they're just like protecting it, and we're getting a lot of reports about that. So yeah, that's true. Now, when it comes with the year ending in 7, that's taking place with a lot of stuff that's taking place in Michigan with the Michigan Dogman. There's a whole history of stuff that's going on, and where it ends with the year 7.
Okay.
Gotcha.
You know what? I almost forgot something, and I'm going to say something. You're talking about reports really quickly, KRISTA, before you go on with that. What does this all ring true? And I just looked this up. This is within the last 3 years, Jody, reports. And what do they all have in common? And this is Dogman, by the way.
Okay.
Only Dogman. Duluth, Minnesota, Shelby, Michigan, Reed City, Michigan, Fitchburg, Wisconsin, Elkhorn, Wisconsin. We all know that. Alto, Michigan, Lowell, Michigan, Big Rapids and Paris, Michigan, and Racine, Wisconsin in the last 36 months are all Dogman sightings, and they're all in Michigan and Wisconsin. And we have Minnesota as the lone wolf, so to speak, state. So is Dogman primarily predicated to the Midwest?
Actually, how can I say this? I call it the northeastern part of the country. Okay. Now that's going from, Wisconsin, going all the way up, to New York, Pennsylvania, Maine.
Yes.
Going all the way down south as far as Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia, Tennessee. Just that one whole big area is where the majority of the Dogman sightings, excuse me, are taking place. Okay. Second part is around Texas and Louisiana. Now, the third part is the Four Corners.
Yeah.
Okay. And the very last part is California.
Wow.
And that's how we have a map set up where how these sightings, a lot of people wanted to believe that they're like scattered all like the Bigfoot stuff. And yes, they are. Okay. But when you look at it as in groups, these are the sectors.
Sure.
Okay. Because outside those, you have one or two sightings here and there. Okay. But when you got them all bunched up, and the northeastern is like the biggest part where a lot of stuff's taking place.
Wow.
Yep. Thank you.
Yes. Next question. Little Patty asks, Jody, your opinion, do you think a gugway is a species of a Bigfoot?
It's I'm trying to think. What's that other one called? There's another type of primate people are seeing, but he's more of a dwarf in like Burma and so forth. It's a primate. It had something to do with I believe in the Bigfoot family. But I can't say it's specifically a Bigfoot. I think it's within the family. Now,
Right.
And when I say that, I say something like the Yeti. Okay. I think the Yeti is definitely a Gigantopithecus. I truly believe that. I believe that's what the Yeti is. But when you have your North American Bigfoot, and then you have the Bigfoot, in different parts of the country or the world, like the Yowie and so forth. These are all, I think, how can I say this? They're the same species, but they're a different breed. Okay, kind of like canines. It's the species, but they have different breed of it, and that is how I break that up like that. Is it an actual Bigfoot? Orang Pigdex. Yeah, thank you.
Well, Duke Sullivan, World Bigfoot Central. He is my encyclopedia of knowledge. I know where he gets it from, man. Thanks, Duke.
But I appreciate that. Yeah, because I couldn't remember that. But it's still within. It's still a species of it, or it's still a breed of it. But but it's still part of the species. If that helps.
Gotcha. Interesting. Interesting. All right. This is kind of a Ron asks, what gives you more of a chance to survive? I guess your opinion. A gugway, a dogman, or a wendigo?
Yes. Kind of neither.
I would.
I say you better kiss your butt on all of them.
Just saying. Would be better. See, the wendigo, that's like the indigenous people version of the devil. Dogman, he eats flesh just as much as a wendigo does. I'm hoping the Dogman is a vegetarian. But I think that would be your better bet.
I will say this: my answer, they're all hard answers. The wendigo will definitely eat you.
Yeah,
they are carnivores. They are more than that. They eat human beings.
Yeah.
So
I will not. I'd rather see a gugway or a dogman for sure. Dogman. Wendigo, I want no part of whatsoever.
I don't want any part of a gugway either. Just a thought of a face eater. I'm just.
I would not. Well, all three of them are going to tear you apart, which is a terrible, horrible death, anyways.
Yeah, but the thing with the gugway is that you got a better chance of not getting your flesh ripped off.
Yes. Just like if you get attacked by a bear in the woods and they slash at you. Many people have survived. You ain't surviving the gugway, the wendigo. Dogman, I don't know much about it. You're dead too.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on.
Yeah. I got through all the questions I saw. So.
Yeah. Okay.
You
got him. Okay. I'm sorry, KRISTA. Did you say there's 2 more questions? I'm sorry, Kristen.
No, I got through them all.
Got them well. So, and fine. Well, first of all, man, it's almost perfect, coming up to almost 90 plus minutes. And Jody, always thank you for coming on, man.
You're welcome.
Your final thoughts. We had a great show out. Thanks to everybody. And before I get into the final thoughts, I gotta thank Wizard Moon membership, Brian Colsty giving out 5 memberships. BMR Pirates, Brian did it twice. We did it once, and then he's a member. Scott's Life, Keith, Maggie, Super Chats, memberships. You guys rock. Donations are never expected, always appreciated. It just, helps, the channel. Maggie, of course, I said Maggie as well. We love you guys. And for all the people that are not in the chat room, I love you all. I love the people in chat. But also, I always have to make a reminder, because I don't see you guys in chat. There's 375 people watching live around the world, which brings our grand total over 400. You guys are just as important as the people in the chat room. Thank you for your support, love of the show. Without you, we wouldn't do what we do, and you're just as you're great at this venture, this journey we all go on. And again, thanks to Jody. Jody, do you have anything going on in the future that we can talk about? Where can we find you? Promote yourself a little bit, bro.
Well, I don't know if I can say this or not, but remember the show Monster Quest? Okay,
yes.
Doug Highcheck's going to end up bringing it back.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow. Very nice.
He's got full ownership of handling how it's going to go.
Okay.
Okay. So he's done some filming on some other stuff. So we're going to be doing some filming with him on that. A couple episodes about Dogman.
Awesome.
So it's going to be good. Probably we probably won't see anything till probably sometime next year.
Okay.
And so forth. So
awesome. Be great.
I will say this, Jody. That's cool to talk about Doug. And again, keep it. You did perfectly. Doug is to be one of our sponsors, KRISTA, for one of our upcoming events we're having. Doug is gracious enough to help us out with some things and promotions for our conference we're having September 19th and 20th in Richmond, Missouri. And so Doug's a part of that. So yeah, hey man, I've known Doug a little while now. Good guy. So Jody, sponsor requests, man.
You didn't hear that from me because I don't know if I'm.
You know what? The only way people are going to hear about it if they watch the last 2 minutes of this show. I will not say a word.
Yeah. So okay. You didn't hear it from me. Cut that part out.
I'll edit it. I'll edit it, Jody. Thank you for that. But hey, listen. Half the people don't know what time I come on anymore. So I mean,
yeah.
And so your North American Dogman Project. Is there a website or anything that we can find you at?
Yeah, it's www.northamericandogmanproject.com. So if you have a report, go ahead and submit one. If you have a question, I can't remember if we moved the suggestion part out, but if you have a question, just go ahead and fill it in the report part. We're going to be adding a email to it, so if you just have a basic question, you can contact us through there and things. So the website, we get it's great because we're getting 30,000 views a month, which isn't bad.
Hey, listen, I wanted to ask you something. I know it has nothing to do with the show. It's my own personal question. I'm on all these Facebook groups, NADP 54321. Are you affiliated with all of them? Which one is your main one that you monitor? Is it number 5?
No, it's just North American Dogman Project. We have a main page, and then each region has a page.
Okay.
So, that's how we have it broken up. So,
okay, because I always get confused. I said, man, there's like
there's a bunch
districts.
There's a bunch of pages on there.
Gotcha. Okay, I just wanted it for my own interest. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So again, thank you. Thanks to everybody to come on in today. It's a great show as always. I always love having Jody on. I'll every 4 or 5 months, Jody is a main guest. And the great thing about Jody is it's always something different every show. It's not the same old, same old. It's always something new and fresh, which I do appreciate. And I appreciate you, Jody. So thank you so much, man.
No, not a problem.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. You guys have a good night.
Don't
You
forget,
too.
thank you, Joey. Don't forget, Tex is on in 20 minutes. He's doing some Dogman stuff with Dogman Ranch or something. He's just texting me with Monica. Go check out Tex on the front porch. Subscribe to the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast. Bigfoot Mission Rob, Paranormal Paul, Monica Rollins. Check out Jody Cook. Look up his website. If you have a report, send it to Jody. He'll take care of you. And Jody will not take out the woo either if the woo is a part of your encounter. I do know that. Like some other people do, by the way.
Yeah.
There you go. Thanks, Jody.
All right, buddy. You guys have a good one.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. I'm just going to find the button. That was a great show. KRISTA, do you have anything to add? What you have going on? Today is Tuesday. What's going on with the booze Thursday?
We have Lynn Monet on Thursdays. She's a paranormal empath, nurse, all kinds of stuff. And then on Friday, we're doing our evidence we got on the Emmaus Village. So be good.
Always fantastic. Always fantastic. And everybody, we have a conference going on. I don't want to get into that today. We're going to start marketing that. It's the 19th and the 20th September. We're doing a UFO, cryptid, paranormal. We've got a lot of great speakers lined up. Most of you that are familiar with all the genres know these people. We're going to really start promoting it heavily very soon. It's going to be in Missouri. We're all a part of it. And I think it's great. Thanks to KRISTA for her hard work and everybody, associated with it. So with that being said, I love you guys for coming on in. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for watching and subscribing. Like on your way out. It's all analytics these days. Buy my books on Amazon, BMR. With that being said,
see y'all.
We're out.